Alright guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to start adding some of these products to the cart. So whenever we're going to click on one of these add to carts, we should see an update number in here of how many products you have on the cart. So we're going to use Redux first of all. So if you guys never touched on Redux, don't worry, we're going to cover it in here. But first I'm going to show you why should you use Redux. So I'm going to my Visual Studio Code in here. First of all, I'm just gonna, if you guys remember, inside of the source, we have like two components. One of them with our home and another one component with a nav bar. Okay, let me just show you in here. This is gonna be our component for the nav bar, and this is our component inside in here with our products. So this is where we are actually clicking in our home.js component. So let me go back in here. I'm going to create just a state in here because we are using React hooks now. So I'm going to create in here const basket numbers, for example. So I'm going to put basket numbers. This is going to be the name of my state. And then I'm going to do another one in here for set basket numbers. So whenever I want to update my state, I'm going to use this one in here. And I'm just going to set it equals to use state. Let me just put this, use state, and I'm gonna say that my initial state is gonna be 0. Now obviously I need to import this use state in here from the top. Just after React, I'm gonna do use state. Okay, and I'm gonna create a function called add to basket, for example. So I'm going to do const add to basket is going to be equals to an arrow function. Okay, and right now I'm just going to do a console.log saying button clicked. Okay, so whenever I click in any one of these buttons on these hrefs, okay, I'm gonna put in here on click. Okay, what do I want to run? I want to run this function in here. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this over and over. So let's put in here, let's put in here, and let's put in this one as well. Okay, let's see how does it look like so far. I'm gonna refresh. I'm gonna open the developer tools, open the console. Let me just clear all this stuff. I'm gonna click and look what it says, button clicked. So it looks like this is fine. Now the only thing that I want to do right now is I'm gonna increase my basket numbers that initially is on the state in here as 0. So I'm gonna do this function called set basket numbers in here. Now whenever I run this function, I'm gonna do my previous state, which is basket numbers, which initially, if you guys remember, is 0. And what I'm gonna do is just increase it by 1. Okay, now every time I'm gonna click in one of these buttons, I'm gonna call this function to update the state to be whatever was in there before plus 1. And I'm just gonna display it in here on the page. In here, like as a h1 current numbers. Okay, current numbers in cart. I'm gonna put in here double curly braces, and inside I'm just gonna put my state, which is basket numbers. Okay, I'm gonna save this, go in here to the page. Look, I have this stuff in here. If I start to click in any of these buttons, look, is increasing my state and it is counting how many things I have on my cart. Now, here is the problem. This is why we're going to need to use Redux in this project. We are using our state, okay, in this component, in this home component. If you guys remember on your app.js, we are using the state in this home component. So if I want to pass those numbers to the nav bar, it's impossible. It's impossible. The only thing that we could do is maybe pass in here the state to this function app, and then from here I could distribute the state down to the navbar and distribute the state in here for this home if I need to. But you know, it doesn't make sense because I should be able to just like pass my state wherever I want. So that's why we're gonna use Redux. Okay, so let me get rid of this. Was just to show you guys that if I want to pass my state inside of my navbar that we have in here, if you guys remember, look, this number 0, that's what we see in here on the top. This is what I want to update with my state. So let's get started with Redux. There is a couple of things that we need to install. So let me go back in here. Let me just go to my home.js. I'm going to delete these guys because I'm not going to need. This was just to explain. I'm going to delete these. I'm going to leave these on click. Maybe not, because this is going to give me an error for sure. So I'm going to delete all this stuff quickly. Okay. Let me just get rid of this. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. Let's close down our application that was just running at the moment. If you want to close it down the server, just press Ctrl+C or Ctrl+C on macOS. I guess is the same thing. Now let's install a couple of things. We're going to install npm I to install. You can just do install if you want to. It's going to be the same thing. We need to install Redux, which is going to be our state management library. Then we need to install Redux, React. So React, Redux. So this is what's going to allow us to connect Redux with React. Now I need to install also Redux-thunk. Okay, this will allow us to do some actions. I'm gonna explain you a little bit later on asynchronously. Okay, so our code will work fine. Let me see what else I need. I also need my Redux. Let me just go in here. Redux dev tools extension. I think that's it. I think that should be it. Okay, so let's just install all of these things. Let's just press enter. It should take just a couple of seconds, so when this is ready, I just get back to you. Okay, so now everything is installed. We're gonna start creating all these kind of setup for Redux, and let me just be completely upfront to you guys. When you are using Redux, there is a lot of configuration of the files. That's what we're gonna do now. And this takes a little bit of time, you know, just to configure everything. And when you're gonna do this the first time, it might look like a bit completely very difficult, very hard to understand. But once we do all this setup of these files that I'm gonna do, okay, I'm gonna explain the flow of how everything is worked together, how everything is connected. And basically, if this is your first time just dealing with Redux, don't worry, because this is a difficult subject to learn. So just watch the video again and I will try to explain as best as I can as well. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is, like I said, we're going to start with the setup of the project. I'm going to configure all the files, and once everything is done, I'm going to explain the flow, okay? So don't think that I'm going to go through it and I'm not going to explain everything. So the first thing is I'm going to press in here on my source. I'm going to do a new file and I'm going to call this store.js, okay? And in this store now, I'm going to start importing some stuff. The first thing, I'm going to do an import of create store and apply middleware, okay, from Redux. So we're going to create a store. I'm going to show you in a second. This is our store file, and we are going to import this create store and this apply middleware from Redux. The next thing is we're going to import compose with dev tools. If I'm not wrong, I think it's like this: compose with dev tools from Redux dev tools extension which we just installed it right now, if you guys remember. We're going to use this in here just to make sure that we can see all our actions, all our state in the browser. I'm going to show you after. So the next thing I want to do is, let me just see, import thunk, okay, from Redux thunk, okay. The next thing that I want to do is, so this thunk, I'm going to explain you after as well, is just to make sure that we are able to click on our actions and they will be performed like asynchronously. The next thing I want to do is import my root reducer from, and I'm going to just do in here, /reducers, okay. We don't have these at the moment. I'm gonna create it just after this thing in here, this file store.js, so don't worry about it. Like I said, once we finish with all this configuration, I'm gonna explain all the flow. So the next thing, I'm gonna put in here a const initial state is gonna be completely empty. The next thing is const middleware is going to be equals to an array with thunk that we just updated in here, imported it in here on the top. So this middleware is going to help us with all the asynchronous actions that we're going to use. Okay, asynchronous is like, if you guys remember, like when you're going to do the async await, or you're going to do the promises.then.catch. So after, I'm just going to do a const store equals to, now I'm going to use my create store. Let me just see. Okay, if you guys remember this create store, we just imported it in here on the top. And this create store needs a couple of things. It needs the root reducer, which we don't have at the moment. Like I said, we are going to create it in a minute. The next thing I need is my initial state, that we just initialized it in here as an empty object. And the next thing that I need in here is my compose with DevTools. Okay, this will help us see everything on the browser. Okay, and this needs the apply middleware, okay, that we brought from up here. And what are we going to pass inside of this apply middleware? We're going to pass this middleware with our thunk. Okay, so I'm just going to do middleware. Okay, we got this. The next thing I want to do is just export this file so I can import it somewhere else. So I'm going to do export default store. Okay, so we create our store file with all this kind of configuration. The next thing I want to do is just go in here on my app.js, which is our main file, if you guys remember. So let me just go in here onto my app.js. So what I want to do, first of all, is on the top, I'm going to do an import of provider from, and I'm going to do from React Redux. Okay, I'm going to import provider from React Redux. And now this provider, this is where I'm going to wrap all my components around this element, this provider. So I'm going to do in here provider. Okay, I'm going to make sure that everything is wrapped around. Okay, and now I'm going to pass in here a value of store, like a property. And what's going to be the value that I'm going to put inside? I need to import, of course, my store. Okay, I need to import the store from where? From / this file that we just created, if you guys remember in here on the side. So I have this variable called store, which I'm going to pass in here. Okay, this store is this one that we are importing from that file. So I think that's it. If I'm not wrong, I don't need anything else. Let me see. I got my store, I got my provider, I'm wrapping everything around. So it means that I can use my Redux on all my application right now. Okay, we created the store file. We wrapped our code in here in app.js with our provider and with our store. The next thing that I want to do is just create the reducers. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do now. Let me just see. I'm just gonna create in here a source. I'm gonna do a new folder and I'm gonna call these reducers. Okay, inside of these, I'm gonna create a new file called index.js. So let me just go in here, index.js. The first thing I'm going to do is import combine reducers from Redux. Okay. And that should be it, because I'm going to be able to combine different reducers for different actions that we're going to do. You're going to understand this a little bit in a second. So I'm going to do export default, okay, and then I'm going to do a combine reducers. Okay, at the moment we don't have any reducer. This is just going to be like all of them that I'm going to bring in here. So I'm actually going to create a reducer for our basket. So let me do in here basket reducer.js. So I need in here to create a const initial state. Okay, and I'm just going to put in here basket numbers. Okay. Oh, I don't need this. And then, so basically, this is going to be my initial state just for the basket. That's what I'm saying, that whenever I'm going to deal with things with the basket, I'm going to use this reducer that I have in here. So I'm creating an initial state that has basket numbers as a property, and the value is going to be 0. The next thing I'm going to do is create an export default function. Okay. And I'm going to pass in, first of all, my state that we have in here on the top. And I'm going to pass an action. Okay. We're going to cover the actions just after this. Okay. We got this action. And now I'm going to do a switch. Okay. And then I'm going to do action dot type. This is to cover the kind of type of action that we're going to do, because we can do many different actions. We can do, for example, add to the basket, remove from the basket, we can modify the quantities and so on. So what I want to do is, first of all, I'm just going to put on this switch default. Okay, if it's default, I just want to return what? I just want to do a return of my state. So this will be just like the default case. We're going to put some other ones. Obviously, now that we created this reducer, we need to import it in here in our index.js. So I'm going to do in here a import. Let me just see my basket reducer from, okay, / basket reducer. What we have in here. And that's it. So far, I don't want to pass anything. Let's just create our actions. I think this is going to be the last thing, the actions. So let's create a new folder inside of source. Call these actions. Okay, let me just see what do I have. And inside of this action, I'm going to create one called types.js. So I'm going to create one action called export const, and I'm going to put add products to basket. That's it. And it's going to be equals to this. Okay. Now I'm going to be using these variables, these types in here, because it's a very good practice. If you have any error that you are kind of like misspelling these kind of things, it's going to give you an error straight away. If you guys are using strings on your project, sometimes it's difficult to see where is the error coming from. That's why we are using these types. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is create an action. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call this one add action. Okay, add action.js. So I'm just going here. I'm going to import, first of all, from the types, I'm going to import this add product from my /types. Okay, and now I want to do a export const, and I'm gonna call this function add to basket. Okay, this is gonna be a arrow function, and we got this. Now I'm just gonna do a return of a dispatch. Okay, this is our parameter that we pass in here. And what I want to do, first of all, I just want to do a console.log of adding to basket to make sure that this function is running. And now I'm just going to do a dispatch. Okay. And what do I want to dispatch? I want to dispatch a type. And what's the type? This one that we got in here on the top. Oof, I think that's it. If I'm not wrong, I think we got everything. There is only one last thing missing. And the thing that we have missing right now is on our components home. Okay, so on my components home, what I want to do is, first of all, import in here on the top connect, so I can connect Redux with this component, okay, the home where I have all my buttons. So import connect from react Redux. Okay, and I'm also going to import this function that I just created, this one add basket. Okay, so I'm going to import add basket from, okay, I'm going to do // to go one level up to components. Then I want to go inside of actions, and then I want to grab this add action. Okay, this is the file. So I imported connect, I imported this function add to basket. Okay, and down here, let me just see what do I have to do. I just have to do this. Instead of saying export default home, I just have to do export default connect. Okay, and I'm gonna put some parentheses around this one, my home, and inside I'm just gonna put null for the first value, because I don't want to put in here at the moment any state. I just want to add some action, and the action that I want to do in here is if you guys remember, we imported in here on the top, add basket. Okay, now I actually think, if I'm not wrong, that we got everything working. Okay, because we are connecting everything in here with Redux, and we got our add to basket function. So I'm gonna go in here on the top, do a props, so we can grab some props, and before my return, I'm gonna do a console.log of props. Okay, hopefully, if everything was well set up, we're gonna see this working, and I'm gonna start explaining you the flow. Okay, so let's run this command again, npm start. So I'm gonna do npm start so we can actually see what's going on. Okay, it's opening. We got some error. So expected. So compose with, okay. I got an error on my store.js. I think I have these in here on compose with DevTools. I put a semicolon, which I shouldn't put. Okay, let me just see. I have another error on basket numbers is not defined. So on home.js. So where is it? Home.js, my basket numbers. Oh, was this one, this H1 that we had in the beginning of this video. Let's get rid of it. And now this is it. If I just open the developer tools, I go into my console and I see, let me see. This is my object. Okay, on home.js in here on the 10. So home.js 10, let me see, home.js 10 is this one on line 10. I can see my props. And what is inside of this object is this function called add to basket. Okay, so it means that now I can use this function called add to basket inside of my component. Okay, so I need to do props dot, okay, add basket, just like I have in here on the screen. So let's do that. I'm going to go in here in all my anchor elements. I'm going to do on click equals to props dot add basket, that function that we created before. Okay, so I'm going to just put this one in here everywhere. And I think that's it. If you guys remember on our add to action, add action.js, whenever we run this function, okay, we are returning this dispatch. And what are we doing inside? We are doing a console.log, adding to basket, and then we do a dispatch of something else. Let's just see if this console.log is working. Okay, I'm going to refresh the page. Let me clear this. If I'm clicking, look, adding to basket, which is perfect, okay? Now, there is just one error in here saying that store does not have a valid reducer, okay? So if you guys remember in our basket index.js of the reducers, when we are exporting these combined reducers, let me just see, what do I have in here? I just want to pass in here a basket state, and it's going to come from the basket reducer, okay? Just put this one in here, okay? I'm going to actually explain the flow now, how everything is working together. What is the problem in here? So I got this, my basket reducer. Let me just see. Of course, we need to go in here into our code. In our basket reducer, I want to set up my state. If I don't pass anything in the beginning, okay, I want that the state initially is going to be this one, initial state. Okay, and this should solve our problem. Okay, this is all working fine. Let's go over how everything is connected. All right, so let's start in here on our app.js. If you guys remember, in our app.js, we imported this provider from React Redux, and we imported this store that we created the file. So I'm wrapping all my components around this provider element, okay, this provider component, and I'm passing in a property called store with the value of store that we actually have on the store file. So in here, we imported all the dependencies like I explained when we were going through, okay? Now, when we connect, let me just go in here into my home.js. To connect all this setup that we did from before, we need to import on the top the connect, okay? We need to import what kind of action we want to have in here in our component home. So I imported my connect, I imported my action, which is add to basket, and then I need to export default connect. The first value is about state. You don't need to worry about that because we don't need to bring any state to this component itself. If you guys remember, we want to bring the state is to the nav bar so we can see the products adding to the basket. The second value in here is our function, okay? And we can see that everything is together now, connected, because if you guys pass in here props on the top and you log these props, okay, like the first thing, you can see in here that you have this add to basket, you see, add to basket function. And we just been over that if you click on any of these things, okay, you should see whatever is on the action. Okay, adding to basket. Let me just clear this. Look, it's working. So let's go through the flow. Whenever I clicked in any of these buttons, okay, I'm calling this action. Okay, I'm calling this action. So let's go to the actions. We have in here a file called add actions. And in here, I'm going to say that whenever I run this function, I'm going to do a return dispatch. So we want to dispatch some kind of action to the reducers. So what am I dispatching in here with this function? I'm dispatching a type of add product to basket. Like I said, guys, you could have exactly like this as just a piece of string, but it's a good practice to have all your actions in here in this file called types, because if you have an error like typing down, it's going to give you like a much easier way to find where is the problem. So you can create all these types in here, and then you on the actions just pass in here the type of action that you want to do. All right, so let me go back again so I don't get lost with this. So home.js, we have this. Like I said, we're going to click to go through the action. We go to the action in here. We need to dispatch a type of action, which is going to be add product basket. Okay, you need to import it on the top, don't forget. After, this is dispatched to our reducers. So on the reducers, if you guys remember, I need to have in here a switch to see what kind of action am I going to receive. Okay, and the action that I want to pass in here is going to be a case of add product to basket. We didn't have this before. Okay, so I'm going to do this, and then I just want to return. Okay, I want to return what? My basket numbers. Okay, just like what we have in here on the top. And then what I'm going to say is I want to grab whatever is in here on the initial state. So I'm going to put this dot basket numbers plus 1. So this is the state that I want to bring whenever we pass an action of add product to basket to this reducer. Okay, so obviously I need to import this add product basket up here. Okay, from, okay, where is this coming from? So I need to go one level up. So dot slash, I want to go into actions and I want to go into types. So from here, I know from this switch that I'm grabbing this type of case add to product. I'm going to return this new state called basket numbers. And what's going to be the value of this is going to be whatever was there from before, which is 0 plus 1. Now, where is this going to from this basket reducer? I'm going into my index.js of the basket reducer, and I'm going to combine these reducers. And what I'm going to do, create this state called basket state. Okay, and what's going to be the value? It's going to be whatever comes from our basket reducer that we just grabbed in here. Okay, so this value is going to be 0 plus 1. This is what's going to be available now in this basket state. Is going to be in here 1. Okay, so this is how we're updating our state. Now let's bring the state to our components navbar. So now, because we are using Redux, we can inject our state anywhere. So if you guys remember, we need to import connect, okay, from, let me just copy what I have up here. So I want to import connect, okay, from Redux, and I also need to import or export this thing in here. So navbar, I'm just gonna put it down here. So this is gonna be export default navbar. I think, am I putting this on the wrong place or what? Got home, I got my navbar. Yeah, this should be fine. Why is it home? Okay, this should be navbar. Okay, navbar. Okay, now, okay, I want to create a const map state to props. This is a very conventional name for this function that I'm just going to create in here. Let me just see. I got my navbar, and the first thing that I want to grab in here is the state. Okay, and then I want to, so I'm going to pass in here a basket props. Okay, this is the value that I'm going to be available up here on this navbar component. And what do I want to grab in here is going to be my state dot, okay, if I go to my basket reducer index.js, this is going to be the piece where everything is fitting together, my basket state. Okay, so state dot basket state, that is coming from my index.js in here. Okay, now obviously I want to pass my map state to props that I have in here. I want to pass it in here on this map state to props, and I need an action now to get everything that I need from the state, because before we created an action to add things to the basket numbers in the state, but now I want to grab the state. So let's create an action for that. So I'm going to create in here on my actions, I'm going to create a new file called get, let me just see, I have get action.js. I think this is what I have in here. Let me just see, get action.js. So the first thing that I want to do is just export const, for example, get numbers, and it's going to be equals to an arrow function. I want to do just like before, let me just copy this code. I want to return and dispatch. Let me just go get action. I'm going to copy this, return a dispatch, and I'm saying getting all basket numbers, and what I want to dispatch is a different type of action called get numbers in basket. Okay, let's import it in here on the top. Import this one, okay, from, I think I need to put this one in here, okay, just like this, from /types. Okay, this is the file. Obviously we still don't have this on our types, so I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to go in here and create it. Export const, and let me copy this, and let me put this one in here. And okay, now this should be good. Now our actions, just like before, whenever you have an action that it runs, you need to go into your basket reducer and just create a case for it. Let's import it in here, this action, okay, get numbers basket, And let's create a case for it. So let me just see. This is my basket reducer. So my basket reducer, I'm just going to do a case of this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a return of ... state, whatever is the state in there from before. That's the only thing that I need to do. Okay, if I got all of these done, let me just see if I have any error. I have navbar.js, add basket, and navbar is not defined. This is fine. So on my navbar.js, I should have navbar. Okay, navbar is the same like this one on the top. My add basket is not working because now we have a function called get numbers. Okay, let's go to our navbar and I'm gonna do a import get numbers from ... so we need ... to go one level up. I want to go into my actions and I want to get this get action. We need to pass this down here as well. Get numbers. Okay, and now I should have this property called basket props available anywhere in here that I want. Let me just do in here props. Okay, so in here, instead of this 0, I'm gonna do now props dot basket props, and we should have our state completely connected. So we got an error in here on navbar.js 15. Let's just figure out what's going on. In here, props, basket props. I think I know what's the problem. Let me just take this one off. Let me just do a console.log of the props. Okay, so this one is going to be navbar.js line 6. Okay, navbar.js. So we need to go into basket props and we're going to get this from there. Okay, because it's initially like that. So what I want to do is whenever I load the page, so we need to do a use effect. So this component in here basically just runs after everything has been rendered, and I just want to call these get numbers. Okay, so once this get numbers is done, I can just log my console.log props. So use effect, of course, we need to import it on the top. So use effect. This is part of the React component lifecycle. So whenever everything is loaded on the page, this use effect is loaded. And this parameter in here is just like for when do we want to watch this. So if I put like an empty array like it's in here, it's just going to run after everything has been loaded. So I want to run this get numbers function. So let's see the props that I have in here, navbar.js. So I should have these basket props and I should have these basket numbers. Okay, so props dot basket props, that's what we have in here. And what are we bringing from there? We have these basket numbers dot basket numbers. Okay, let me refresh the page. Let me click. We got some error, basket numbers of undefined. So where is these? On basket reducer JS line 10. So that's what we are going to check right now. Basket, which one was it? Basket reducer. So this is on this line. Let me just see what's going on. Obviously this shouldn't be these dot basket numbers. This should be state, because it's our initial state. We want to bring these basket numbers from up here. Okay, I think this should be the problem. So if I start clicking, look, now everything is well set up. So we have our functions in here that we are clicking on these add to carts, and we are bringing the state to a completely different component like this navbar on the top. Okay, and that's it for this video, guys. I know it's a little bit longer than it should be, but hopefully if you guys understood it, great for you. If not, you can just like rewatch it over and over again, because this is a difficult subject and it takes a bit of time to get into it. So the next video, what we're gonna do is just like going here on the top and going into the actual cart page and see what kind of products we added into the basket. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.